Hello and welcome to Character Count by @TwitterBusiness. I'm your host, @JoeWadlington. Twitter is a lively, passionate place where people come to discover what is happening in their world. And we want to show you the creative ways that brands and businesses and people are using Twitter to connect and engage with the audiences that matter most to them. So each episode, I'm going to talk to the folks behind some standout advertising campaigns. Today, my guest is Stephen Bedford. He's the director of marketing at Simon & Schuster Books. He's a talented copywriter and social media manager who's worked with people like Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen. @Simon Books is entrenched in book Twitter. Like many of Twitter's micro audiences, book Twitter comes with its own lingo and trends, which Stephen is going to tell us all about. He'll also share how he explains the power of Twitter to his coworkers, why their campaigns work, and how he professionally slides into people's DMs. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you. Great to be here and really exciting, and appreciate the opportunity. My name's Stephen Bedford. I'm a marketing director at Simon & Schuster, and our handle is @SimonBooks.
And Simon & Schuster was founded in 1924, so it's a bit older than Twitter. And so I'm so excited to talk about how you have this massive global legacy brand that was very offline and to turn it into such an online thing. So we're going to first start out with a meme of the moment.
Okay.
As you know, Twitter is an extremely creative place. Creativity happens on Twitter, and it's exciting to see how quickly people turn a joke into something brand new. So what's your meme of the moment?
Sure. Since we're going to be talking about books, we had a funny one in the book world just happened recently. Some of you out there might be familiar with Gritty, the new mascot from the Philadelphia Flyers, who is
so creepy.
Yes, captured the hearts and minds of all of us in the sports world, or even if you're not a sports fan. He's some sort of fuzzy orange phantasm of some kind with big googly eyes, and there was a trending hashtag Gritty a book. So people were substituting Gritty's name into a lot of classic novels, and really the content took care of itself. For example, The Great Gatsby became The Great Gritty. Gone with the Wind became Gone with the Gritty. And yeah, the visual, if you've ever seen Gritty or you're pulling him up on your device right now, mixed with some of that classic American literature, makes for quite a contrast. So.
He's so upsetting to look at.
He seems like so good-natured, though.
Yeah.
And people have really taken to him, and he's almost overshadowing the team at this point.
I'm just thinking like A Tale of Two Gritties, like
Yeah,
jungle gritty. Like it's very easy to do. So what does @Simon Books tweet about?
We tweet about all sorts of things. I think on the most fundamental level, it is our books and authors and what they are, what their expertise in, and what they're discussing, whether it's nonfiction or fiction, and making that digestible for Twitter and really connecting people with books and authors and ideas.
That's awesome. And you talked about book Twitter before, which I love that we're going to be able to delve into that because Twitter is a place for people who are really interested in stuff, for geeks, for nerds, for all these sub-communities, and book Twitter is an extremely rich example of that. Could you explain a little bit about what book Twitter's like?
So if I had to describe book Twitter in 3 words, I would say it is educational, it is entertaining, and it is about connectivity. So we are connecting readers with authors and ideas and books, and we want to present that in an entertaining way.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And I love how you said connectivity because I've been pleased with seeing how supportive writers are on Twitter. I'm a writer on Twitter, so I follow a lot of book accounts, a lot of publishing information and accounts. And people get so excited about books and then good writing they find. Of course, they love the written word. Of course, book people are interested in memes and of clever turns of phrase. So it's a really natural fit, I think.
Yeah, totally. As you said, it's a very collegial atmosphere, I think, between readers and writers and even between publishing houses. So I think there's really great support for all the different houses out there, and we're all watching what each other is doing, and we want to support each other too. So a rising tide lifts all boats.
Absolutely. And how do you work with those authors? What does Simon Books use them for? What support do you provide?
Sure. There are a few different ways we work with authors. On the most fundamental level, it's introducing what Twitter is. We do have authors that, through their other careers and so on in their personal lives, are very familiar with the platform. So we always want to outfit them with great content and present some case studies in how to get their message across, how to convey their novel or their book for the medium. We do a lot of video content in-house and have a great video team at Simon & Schuster, and so we're developing assets that can be put out through the Twitter account. We do a lot of sort of visual infographics, repurposing content from other social media streams to really present the book, the author, the idea
Wow.
in a visual and captivating way.
Wow, so you're creating content for these authors and also coaching them on how to use Twitter to the best promote their book.
Yes. So I like to think of our marketing team at SNS as really a one-stop shop. Whether you've never used Twitter before or even heard of it, we can help you, hold your hand, give you some best practices, and help you get up and running. We can just provide the ammunition to keep the account vibrant, to help you get what you want to get across in a visual way.
And structurally, how is your team made up? 4 marketers and a director? Is there a graphic designer? Are there specific community managers?
So the marketing group, we handle a lot of the day-to-day maintenance. We do have a great creative services team that we work with to develop various assets and optimize them for Twitter and for social media in general. But really the marketing team oversees the day-to-day and sort of the long-term strategy, whether it's for the @SimonBooks account or the long-term strategy for an author.
That's so interesting to me because you're going towards authors as influencer marketing effectively. They have a product, they've made a book,
Mm-hmm.
and you're promoting the book because your company's publishing it. And then you have this influencer tied to every single book that you're publishing throughout a season. Would you define it as influencer marketing?
Yes, I do think there's some elements to influencer marketing. And of course, that's a elastic term these days and can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different industries. But we do see the author as the influencer. They are the expert in the field and do have credibility in the field. And it's important for us to really help them with the discovery aspect, to connect with the right crowd and lead them back to the book where there's much more information than just the 200 characters.
Mhm.
So,
And could you give us some influencer marketing tips?
sure. So while we do use the @SimonBooks account to promote our books and our authors and the ideas, the people, the places, and things within them, we also use it to connect with the Twitter sphere as a whole. There are so many people who are also experts in the field that we want to connect with, and they might enjoy the book. It might be relative
Yeah.
to what they are talking about or blogging about or presenting on a podcast or the news. And so it's become a great tool to really make an introduction. And we've had some great success and forged a lot of great relationships that way. On one personal example of using the SimonBooks account to make new friends sort of is a few years ago, I was really interested in moving some of the history books that I work on into the digital media sphere and social media, and just use some software and some keyword searches to find out who was podcasting about history and how might I connect with them.
What
And
keywords did you use? Do you remember?
on the most basic level, it was history podcast. And,
Oh, yeah.
so I came across a fellow named Dean who was running a podcast that I really liked, and his vision and his audience and production and themes really aligned with a lot of the books we were publishing. So I just reached out to him through Twitter. To use the term, I slid into the DMs, and it turns out he worked just a few blocks away, and we met up
Wow.
one afternoon over a cup of coffee, and we're just talking about books and history. And from that, a show was born, a podcast was born, the History Author Show, which is just as it sounds like. It is a show for history authors and people writing in the history category to come
Wow.
on and discuss their expertise and figures of history, eras of history, and so on. And the show is about 3.5 years strong now.
It's still
and
running?
Yes, absolutely.
What's it
So
called?
the History Author Show.
I love this because we also find things at Twitter Business through business means. We found guests for this podcast by sliding into DMs. I'm currently working on an article for our blog that's how to professionally slide into the DMs, because I think everybody, do you have a tip for, it sounds like it's been effective for you.
Yes, it has been. And I think the one tip I would have, and it's sort of a fundamental core of Twitter and social media, is just be authentic, be yourself, really articulate the reason you've decided to reach out to them in this way. And that also goes back to really knowing their platform and their audience, and really having a shared voice and a shared vision and a shared interest. And I've found more often than not, people are happy to strike up the conversation, and sometimes you end up working together. Sometimes it's just not the right time or the right fit. But
yeah, I love that. I've had people slide into my DMs who don't even follow me. And then you're like, you don't even know how much I like peanut M&Ms. How dare you ask me for writing advice? So I think you do have to level with them and be aware of what they talk about, and make it feel less like you're trying to sell them vinyl siding through their DMs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it goes the other way as well. Do people DM Simon Books? What's the most common out of the blue DM that you would say Simon Books gets?
We do get quite a few book pitches through the DMs, and I certainly appreciate that, and that's such a natural thing for authors to want to do. It is tricky to manage and reply to all of them, and I would really suggest that those folks you check out Publishers Marketplace and get an idea for the right agents and editors for your projects. And that is one way. We're sort of the old-fashioned snail mail with some sample material from the manuscript and an introductory letter. That would really help the cause a lot more than sort of a cold DM about your project. But
that is so polite, Stephen. Quit DMing your book pitches to @SimonBooks.
Yeah, it's
the mailing address is on their website.
Yeah. It is a grind, and the creative process, everyone approaches it differently, and I do wish you the best of luck. But the old-fashioned means of pitching the book are really tried and true for a reason. So.
Yeah, and that is such an interesting line of what things can be done by DMs, by tweeting at someone, and these new online streams that are so young, and then what things like really need to be done over traditional means. I think that's something we're always figuring out, and it is so interesting to us. I love hearing stories about people who connected on Twitter, because I'm constantly surprised by the types of relationships that can come through just tweeting at someone. One thing I'm really impressed by with Simon Books is that you publish around 30 books a season, would you say?
Yeah, anywhere between 30 and 40 books a season, which all told ends up being around 100 to 120 per year. And that's new books and industry parlance, front list, hardcovers. But at the same time, a lot of paperbacks are coming out, probably about the same amount of volume. And that's an opportunity to give those books a second life.
And many of those books are getting Twitter ads campaigns as well to promote them.
Yes, the Twitter ads functionality has really evolved so much and really become a powerful tool in our toolbox for advertising campaigns. And we do quite a few political and current events books where so much discourse happens on Twitter. So for that particular category, it's been really a great tool for us. And
what are some advertising risks Simon Books has taken?
I think one risk we've taken, and something we approached with some trepidation, was sort of creating an online book club around a certain title. I think that there's always that voice in the back of your head, very similar to throwing a party. You wonder if anyone's going to show up, and you're a little nervous there. But then people do start participating in the conversation, using the hashtag to ask a question or to join the conversation. And it's always a big sigh of relief, and it ends up being a lot of fun and really rewarding. And but
What book did y'all start with?
we've done it with some of our history books, The Innovators by Walter Isaacson, which is a book of sort of a history of the digital age, and opening it up for people to talk about the pioneers of the digital age, going all the way back to Ada Lovelace, and having them use the branded hashtag of The Innovators to talk about the various developments from Silicon Valley and really around the world that made up the internet and software and hardware and so on.
And so Simon & Schuster is a book publisher, but there are other entities in the book world that are extremely active on Twitter. I know my local libraries and my favorite independent bookstores have some of the most incredible Twitters that I see. What are some things that you would add that you're seeing the book community on Twitter?
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there. There's such a community aspect to local bookstores, to local libraries that really connect on the community level, to a neighbor-to-neighbor level. We've been talking about Twitter and business and advertising on such a macro scale that I think it's important to recognize that the indies matter, and they're optimizing those channels and using them to really connect with the community, to bring people through the doors, and it's really rewarding to see. And I happen to live in Hoboken, New Jersey, and the local library there does such a great job of making you aware of all the great events happening and what you can find at the library, how you can use it. It's I actually got my start in the book industry working for an independent store out in Colorado, the Bookworm of Edwards. Got to give him a shout out to the Vail Valley there. And to be sort of on the ground floor of when a lot of social media was starting to happen and be really useful for business owners, and to see how they've grown and using those channels to connect to the community and the people that live right down the street is really fun to watch. Even though I've moved away, I still keep tabs on them, and it's really rewarding to see a independent store thrive, not just from the bricks and mortar level, but also thrive in the social sphere.
I follow all of my favorite bookstores too.
Yeah.
My favorite one, at Booksmith in San Francisco, will randomly have notable donors, where someone will think a book is really important for the current zeitgeist, and they'll go in and they'll buy 100 copies and they just put it at the cash register. And anyone who comes in that day gets a free copy of that book. And they always tweet about it. It's just an incredible way.
That's a really cool promo.
And then that makes me want to do it now, right? Like, I want to go buy 10 copies of a book that I think people should read and leave it there.
Yeah. And a lot of the stores are just so creative in how they're using the technology and the messaging. And they know their readers, and they know their patrons, the people that are walking through the door, and to see them connect that way with generous promos, or just, if you have a bookstore cat or something, there's all sorts of great stuff out there that the indie bookstores and local libraries are doing. So it's really cool to see on the publishing level.
What is a Twitter tip you can leave everyone with?
Sure. Twitter is a writing platform and a text platform, but really can grab so much attention and really make the platform work for you, and really get the idea and message across if you add a visual component. For us at Simon Books, that can be as simple as a shot of the jacket. I mentioned earlier that we do quite a bit of video creative in-house, so it's presenting maybe a 10-second trailer type clip, or maybe it's a 15-second sort of talking head type clip where the author is sort of distilling one of the themes of the book, and just really capture the attention that way.
Yeah, and we've seen from our data that tweets with images get about 10 times the engagement of tweets that only have text. So that is absolutely corroborated by our data science team. Could you share a life tip with us?
A life tip? Ooh. A life tip from Stephen at Simon Books would just be, live a healthy life. Eat right, sleep right, be happy, take care of your body and mind. Read a lot of books from a lot of different areas and sources, and just keep learning.
Feed your mind and always add an image to your tweet. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your extremely valuable expertise.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was really an honor to be here and talk about books and marketing and Twitter. And feel free to follow us and connect with us at Simon Books.
But do not DM them your book pitch. You heard that from me, not from him.
Yeah, please don't, but keep writing. Yeah.
So it's inspiring to hear all the ways that brands and people use Twitter to get their message out. But how do those ads actually work? How do you set up a campaign? So I have a customer success person internally at Twitter here to explain some of the specifics. And since Twitter is all about live and in the moment, I haven't told them why they're here. So we're going to see how they are on the spot.
Hi, my name is Giselle Diaz, and I'm an account manager at Twitter. I work on our SSA team, which stands for self-serve ads. So I help advertisers ranging from small businesses to medium business get running on Twitter, whether that's optimizing their campaign or solving common issues that may come up in terms of billing or claiming handles. I'm their go-to person.
You're their go-to person. You're their go-to, would you say, expert?
I would say expert.
You would say expert. Okay. So you are a paid Twitter expert. Okay. So I have some questions for your expertise.
I'm ready.
I'm going to fire them at you, and you're going to answer as quickly as possible.
Ooh, okay, like Jeopardy.
Did I tell you were going to be doing that beforehand?
You know, I had heard.
You had
and it was actually through you. You forgot to un-CC me on an email, and I saw. So I kind of knew this was coming.
No.
But to be fair, I didn't prepare anything out of the ordinary. I'm just going to come with what I know from my day-to-day work.
Well, you know, if you did prepare, that's on me. But anyways, you have limited time to answer, so as quickly as possible.
Gotcha.
What is a website card?
Ooh, a website card is one of our ad units. So you upload either a video or an image, attach a URL to it, and it becomes a clickable target.
How big is a website card?
How big? Well, the aspect ratio is either 1:1, so you can do our square format, or you can do, I think it's 16:9 for the landscape. I don't know the pixels off the top of my head, but I have the URL that I could send you.
How much is video growing on Twitter?
Video is growing exponentially, and I wish I had a concrete number to give you, but we just have so much video inventory that's opening up with all these new campaign objectives like the in-stream video ads and even just like our standard like video views objective. So it's growing a ton.
What's a dark tweet?
A dark tweet is when you when you tweet something but you don't post it live. So it's like a promoted only tweet.
What's a promoted account?
A promoted account is what we call somebody who's running a followers campaign. So they're promoting their own account and asking people to follow them.
What's mobile app promotion?
Mobile app promotion is exactly what it sounds like, promoting an app you have on Twitter and sending people to the mobile app store to download.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever tweeted?
The dumbest thing I ever tweeted was this ad I saw on an airplane for a new workstation where you can like work out as you type. And I was like, this is so dumb and looks like the beginnings of a Black Mirror episode.
Well, Giselle, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciated all of your tips. I think we all learned quite a bit. And I would love if you could leave us with one final tip. So what is your favorite Twitter tip?
My favorite Twitter tip is pretty straightforward, but when you're setting up your campaigns, make your creatives first, post them right away because they're not going to be shown organically. It's a really common misconception we have. I wouldn't bother about scheduling tweets. And then you can get a really good summary of everything that you have planned before the launch of your campaign.
And when you say creatives, what do you mean?
I mean like setting up your video website cards, your image website cards. Unless you're promoting organic content, which is already there, I like to have everything just set up and ready to go before the launch date.
And what is your favorite life tip?
My favorite life tip is to not take things too seriously and do what you like.
There you have it. Don't take things too seriously and always have your creatives ready ahead of time. Giselle, thank you so much for your expertise and for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Joe.
Character Count is a production of Pod People for @TwitterBusiness. This episode was hosted by me, Joe Wadlington. Our executive producer is Rachel King. This episode was produced by Holden Mary and Jesse Carrier and edited by Joanna Clay. Music by Annalise Nelson and Dax Schaefer. Special thanks to Marissa Window, Lindsay Bruce, and the entire Twitter customer success team. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow @TwitterBusiness for incredible tips on Twitter ads, marketing best practices, or follow me @Joe Wadlington for tweets about watching Coco on a plane and crying. Have a great day.